So I'm currently at UCL in their gardens, which you can hear the rain pouring down. I'm shouting from it, which is why I look like a drowned rat. Anyway, I got asked quite deadpan. I was like, what? Is photography a viable career? Can you make money in photography? Is it a good career choice by a couple of students? And I'll be honest, my answer at first was like, yeah, follow your dreams, follow your passions. But that is not the answer. I think you need a better, more involved answer is if photography is a viable career, considering everything that's going on in the world. I think so. This is what today's video is about. I think a lot has to be said that every person and their auntie has like a camera, AI's coming in. We see people doing freebies. We see people like undercharging work and we think, how the hell are they making a living? So it does make me wonder if people are really worried that there isn't a future in photography when I have an opinion that says otherwise. But I want to do this in this video to go over why I have this opinion, because I was speaking to some of my people, like I have loads of people, but speaking to some of the people who are in the industry and they're saying it's not a viable career anymore. And I'm like, what? So if you don't know already, my name is Khandie. I'm a drowned rat right now. And I am the no BS, say it how it is, photographer, educator, podcast host of The Loud Lens, writer of 2 top-selling books. And I think we need to be more honest with our answers. Yes, people might think photography is not a viable career. And I get it. There is a lot out there of competition or perceived competition. I want to correct that. But frankly, I think we're all scaremongering ourselves. Yes, there are precautionary tales. Yes, there are issues. But honestly, I think we're kind of giving into the whispers and the rumour mill a little too heavy without looking at ourselves. And a lot of people whose businesses fail not because there's a saturated market, because they don't see it as a business. I'm not saying this to be a dick. But a lot of people say they have a business, they set up the Instagram and they go, oh yeah, I'm officially a business, and do none of the actual education on running a business, and then fail and then blame it on the fact that, oh, you just can't make a career out of photography. And I feel like me and her would be so friends. I personally don't think I could sit here legitimately tell you there aren't some threats to our business. Like, that would be completely stupid of me, and we know this. AI generation is very real, and the threat to certain areas of photography is very real. A lot of businesses are using AI generated content, whether we like it or not. And how many times we say it doesn't transfer well, so more and more people are buying into it. And I think if anything, it is attacking those of us who are less skilled currently. AI also can do a lot of the work that perhaps skilled photographers used to be able to do. So retouch, you can do a lot of complex edits. There's a lot of that. Like, again, it is affecting us. And many professional bodies are saying that AI generation will hollow out the photography, videography industry quite a lot in the next 5 years. So I am not going to say that there isn't an issue. I also think that's quite harsh to say it will hollow us out. I think it will do away with people who aren't very creative or people who aren't pushing the boundaries very much. But I think it's worth noting that not all photography is threatened equally, and it's only certain areas that are threatened by this. But here's something AI isn't doing. It isn't capturing a father when he sees the daughter for the first time at a wedding, or a baby's first steps, or a mother and newborn. It's not capturing so much more. It's taking some artificial generated kind of imagery, but it's not capturing those real moments that people want to remember. They're not going to want to remember an artificial generated picture of them dad and daughter meeting. They want the real thing. AI is possibly replacing certain types of photography, maybe stock photography to some degree, and I will say basic product photography, because there's quite a big backlash against fake stuff like that. Does anyone remember the backlash against Guess when they did it into completely AI generated fashion campaign? And I think some standardized commercial work, maybe some real estate, maybe catalog imagery, once they've got one picture, they do it. And you've seen this already in some of the fast fashion brands are already doing this. The kind of brief where the client wants 12 of the same image with the same thing, just all cleanly cut, maybe that'll be it. And I will say, if your work is something, your bread and butter work is something that can be replicated with a few AI prompts and literally is done and dusted, then perhaps I would be concerned. But AI is not getting rid of people's visual identity. It's too easy to create that. So people are really trying to push for their own unique spin on it, such as like even down to street photography. It's not recreating, although we are seeing street photography get broken into by AI generated imagery. Because you know what? You're a guide to human experiences as a photographer, so no algorithm is going to be able to book that job. You as a person have so much to give, and I think it needs to be remembered. And so photographers who are panicking about their careers are often the ones who have possibly built themselves on volume and convenience rather than, I don't know, something that's a little bit more standout. So yeah, I also think we need to just remember that people often go on about how many people are coming into the industry because there is cheap camera gear. Yes, there is. Everyone has a camera apparently, and they're ruining it for everybody. No, they don't. Not everyone has a camera. And even if they did, you cannot preach that you are unique if you are worried about somebody else with similar equipment to you, because you could give the same camera to multiple people and they're still not going to generate the same thing, right? And most people who buy a camera out there are just wanting a camera that takes pictures. They're not doom scrolling for finding inspiration. They're going like, I'm here in London right now. Everyone's walking around with cameras or their phone taking pictures. Do I think that they're all going to be the most amazing travel photographers, bloggers? No, they're not. They're out just capturing what they want to capture. And yes, smartphones have made imagery a little bit more accessible to people. Okay, a lot more accessible, and digital SLRs have become more affordable. But, you know, we could also say that digital has ruined film photography. Film photography has a massive resurgence and is incredibly strong and powerful still now. All those people with cameras, if the only thing separating you from somebody with a kit lens and your camera equipment, then perhaps the problem is you and how you see your work, not the gear. You're positioning yourself wrong. I do want to say the saturation thing isn't something I take very lightly. I mean, I do know it's saturated in some aspects out there and it reaches everybody. I hear the market is oversaturated all the time. I hear it from photographers, people are thinking of becoming photographers, content creators, videographers, you name it, I hear it. Especially from people who say that's the reason why their business failed. It was too saturated, it's too competitive. But I'm thinking, are you confusing volume with quality? Because if I'm really honest, if I look at this industry now, I don't see too many good photographers. I see some good-ish. I don't see good wow or even amazing as many as you think. I'm obviously, that's a very personal opinion and it's probably a controversial take. But seriously, I see a lot of people, because the entry level is really easy. Get a camera, decide your business, right? I mean, there's a lot more to it that people do. But for the most part, what I see on Facebook is just that. I see people who think they're great, like we all did, they're still struggling. I see people who cheapen themselves to get the work in and then complain they've got crappy clients or they're overworked, can't deliver, and then all the problems that fall around that. And I'll be honest, a lot of them aren't even linked with HMRC. And somehow you think they're competition. They're really not. They are literally just noise. And that noise aren't thinking long term. They aren't thinking in 5 years. They're thinking right now, the immediacy. They just want to exist right now to get that money in because they think it's easy. They soon learn. And that kind of business model has such a short shelf life. Like, I don't even look at them. I'm just like, okay, I see them, but I'm not proactively looking for them. They come off my feed occasionally, but no, when it comes to saturated, yeah, that end of the market, I would say, yeah, it is saturated with mediocre, with blah. Not everyone, not all of them, but they're not thinking long term. This industry keeps pulling people in, people who want to take a risk, who want to try this. That isn't something that happens in dead industry. So there must be something in this industry that people see viable, okay? The problem is not that people aren't coming in, it's the fact that people aren't coming in with all the right knowledge and the right mindset. There is no shortage of like courses on how to use your camera, how to take portraits, how to do this, how to do that. But there are very few legitimate business courses I've seen. That's why I run the podcast, The Loud Lens. That's why I have this YouTube channel, because I want there to be more of this. When I mentor people, they're not asking me just for my portrait work, although I just did one yesterday. A lot more people are asking me about, hey, how do I do this? How do I run this? Because you know what? They can find many portrait things. In fact, there's loads of stuff. You don't even have to buy it on YouTube. I mean, I always say if you can find it on YouTube, go find it on YouTube first. But this is why I have so many people coming to me asking me about education on business side. If someone comes into this industry and they don't have a mindset on the business side, how to make this long term for themselves, they're not a threat and they shouldn't be to you. I want someone who comes into the industry and goes, okay, I want to be here for the long term. I'm going to price properly. I'm going to think about making a profit and can think about having savings and putting some away, building a tiny nest egg because I know I'm going to upgrade eventually and I know things happen. Those people are undercutting and undercharging. They burn out in like 2, 3, 4 years and then that's it. They go on to the next thing. And most of the time you'll see them in the groups complaining like, oh, I used to be a professional. I'm like, you think you were, but you didn't act professional. You know, the market does not need fewer photographers. It needs better equipped for business photographers. Is that right? Is it? You know what I'm trying to say? So who survives and who doesn't? I just look like a drowned rat. Yeah. The ones who are going to be fine are the ones who really know what they're doing, who have a business mindset. The ones who know where they want to be. The ones who keep challenging themselves. The ones who get their voice out there. The ones who push themselves. The ones who understand their client, not just their camera. The ones who treat their brand and their ethos as strongly as they can. The ones who can adapt without losing what makes them them. And the ones who are going to struggle are the ones who are trying to be discovered. The ones who think their work speaks for itself and doesn't touch any marketing. I cannot get over how people do not get involved in marketing. Oh, I don't have time for that. And then how do you have a business? And particularly the ones who compete on prices, because that is a slippery slope to the no land of never having a business again. I will just say, just sadly, I think the ones who just say, I'm really passionate about photography and I want to make it my whole career, but don't learn about the business side, you two are going to probably suffer. So is photography a viable career in 2026 and onward? Yes. with conditions. It is viable if you understand that you're running a business, not a hobby. It is viable if you know exactly who you are and who you serve and how you serve them. It is also viable if you stop treating every photographer as some sort of threat to you. They're not. So just stop the comparison. Gross, old hat, get over it. The industry isn't dying. It isn't oversaturated with talent. It's messy, it's noisy. I know, right? There's work out there and there always will be. I think it's more if people take it seriously and treat it like it's a business. Like you can be a photographer, but if you want to be a working photographer, it's a whole different thing. Maybe I'll do a video on why photographers always undercharge themselves. If you don't want that, hit that in the comments, let me know. But I think we as to keep having this industry, like if this industry was dead, there wouldn't be people joining it. There wouldn't be people jumping in and coming in every time, right? Camera sales wouldn't keep going on. Like people would stop developing cameras. They're not. They're trying to find the next thing for us, okay? I get that we might need to diversify. Maybe we have to go a little bit into videography, but you don't have to equally. You know, you could be a great portrait photographer as long as you know who you're serving, how you do that, and you keep pushing yourself forward to keep doing that. Keep up with your clients, then you're going to be fine. And before you go, oh, I don't like the idea of that, then why are you running this as a business? Keep it as a hobby with like it's a business. Business evolve and adapt as the times and the customer needs do. That's how you stay with those customers. That's how you stay in demand. You adapt. I'm not saying you need to chuck away everything that you do, but if your customer now wants to go, oh, I want to do this kind of approach, and you go, okay, I don't do that. Okay, fine. If it's way beyond your scope and you really can't do it, then fine. But then also remind yourself that a lot of customers are moving that way. So perhaps you need to look at that if it's a trend, a fleeting trend, or if it's one here to stay. I don't think AI is taking our businesses. I think those who don't take it into account of what it's doing and don't up their games. If your entire model is based on how cheap you are and how you can do volume work without really having any artistic flair to it, then I would probably say you're going to get threatened by it. Okay, you're going to feel the scratchings of AI taking your job. All right, but for the most part, when people say to me, AI is going to take over headshots, have you seen AI headshots? There was a study put out, I read somewhere that like once people knew they were AI, people didn't like them. Okay, you can't AI someone's headshot because when they show up for the job, people are like, you do not look like that. You do not look like that. And we need to understand that this is, yes, it's here, and there will always be people who will love it. People, the same as like everyone wants filters, everyone wants to be retouched. We've known this, right? It is a bit nothing new. Okay, but you're not aiming at that clientele, right? And if you are, so be it. Okay, you need to adapt and move on. For me, I think 2026 and beyond is viable to still be a photographer. You just need to know who you are and really work on that marketing. You are running a business, not a hobby, so start treating it as a business. And I think that will solve a lot of your problems. It is not personal, it is a business. And I'm kind of sick and tired of people sitting there on the forums asking the same old questions. I'm like, did you not go and learn this? Did you not go and find this out? Like, I have a whole podcast about marketing. I'm not saying I'm the only one, but there are many other things. You don't need to listen to photographers. Marketing doesn't drastically change across the industry, which is why I was a bit surprised to find so many people who are not photographers listening to my podcast and giving me amazing feedback on it. For me personally, you run a business as a photographer, then you need to understand marketing. Okay, you need to understand all the stuff that goes beyond just clicking a button and going, yeah, I'm a photographer. It is a lot more than that. The legal side, the contract side, insurance, everything. And if you don't want to do that, then you're not going to be viable as a photographer going forward. Okay. Anyway, this has been me, Khandie, and I am going to go and sort out this hair because I am a drowned rat.